Welcome to the Artie Lange Show. A real pleasure to have our next guest here. A legendary guy in sports journalism. He is.
Yeah.
And, and on television as well. A very legitimate guy for this show, and we welcome him here.
What, you have illegitimate guys on this show?
All the time.
Usually.
Yeah?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you ever have anybody from your new book on this show?
No.
Who is a key player in your new book?
No, you're right.
I asked for that book for Christmas, by the way.
Peter King, by the way. And I thank you. That is astonishing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's going to be fun to read, isn't it?
I hope. I mean, I went through it. It wasn't exactly fun. Some of it was fun. Now, some of it I have to say was fun.
Disturbing and fun.
People always bring up the dark parts, but I got to admit, I had a lot of fun too. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I had too much fun. But welcome here to the
Thank
show.
you. Nice
now,
to be here.
Would you like to say little people porn and get that on record?
What does that mean?
It just means it's a new franchise we're starting.
We like the alliteration.
It's been called midget porn for so long, and the new politically correct version is
Little people porn. Okay, all right.
I say it like
Sounds really good for him.
remember the Good Witch from the Wizard of Oz. I say it like her, like little people porn.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with that. Let's start with the quarterback situation in Chicago.
Okay.
Jay Cutler and McCown. What do you do if you're Chicago?
Phew.
It's a tough
Every
one, right?
week that goes by,
Yeah.
you say, how in the world are you pulling McCown out of the game? But it's so preposterous to think of playing McCown over Jay Cutler in any other world, because it wasn't until you even would think about this. Yeah. It wasn't until 2 or 3 weeks ago,
right,
that the thought would even cross your mind.
The only other situation I can remember is being like, as a Giant fan. I'm sorry, real quick. I'm just saying. Tell me if you think
was Kurt Warner and Eli,
or going back further, Phil Simms and Hostetler.
Yeah, right.
And Hostetler won it all. That's not going to happen this year with the Bears, but
I don't think so. But the one thing I would say about those two guys, I think especially because, they're not making any mistakes with McCown.
Right.
He just doesn't make a lot of bad plays. He doesn't make negative plays. Yeah. Whereas Jay Cutler makes some negative plays. Okay. He's got a Favre streak in him.
Right.
He's a gunslinger type. But that's a very, very interesting question. It looks like Cutler is iffy for this week as well. Yeah. If McCown plays well this week, I don't know how you go back. And they win.
Hard.
I don't know how you go back to Cutler.
I felt like there were early inklings, whenever it was earlier in the season, that Trestman came out and said he feels like the offense runs better with Josh in there. Yeah. There was some point, or I want to say week 5 or something, week 6, and I found that enlightening at the time. And then the fact Mark was in Oakland when I was in Oakland.
Yeah.
Really heady guy. And I could totally see him buying into, a bookworm study type, fastidious, pay attention to the film quarterback, like Josh McCown must be.
Yeah.
The fact that Brandon Marshall, who is the biggest Jay Cutler fan in the world, came out and said...
a lot. That means a lot, I guess, right?
The fact that he said, I think it was him, Jay is watching the way Josh prepares, and it's going to make him a better quarterback when he comes back.
That's pretty good.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
The fact that Jay Cutler is learning how to prepare better. Jay Cutler's watching Josh McCown prepare and play and saying, man, if this guy can go out there and throw 11 touchdowns and 1 interception, imagine what I can do.
13-1 now.
Is it really?
Yeah, 13-1 now.
And what is Jay? 13-8?
He's 13 and
or something like that.
7 or 8.
Does anyone else feel like John is desperately trying to impress Peter?
Really?
He said fastidious. He said fastidious.
Fastidious.
I looked at everybody, but
yeah.
Here's the biggest to me. Here's the biggest deal about this whole story that I find the most interesting. The new general manager, fairly new general manager of the Bears, a guy named Phil Emery, a very conservative guy.
Yeah.
Who is not going to be held hostage by a quarterback in negotiations or anybody in negotiations. Right. A coach, a quarterback, a star receiver, nobody. And so Jay Cutler's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Phil Emery, look at the quarterback contracts that have been signed recently.
Insane.
$20 million,
Flacco,
$21 million.
Romo, yeah.
All these guys getting in $20 million range. So I can tell you right now that the Chicago Bears are not paying Jay Cutler $20 million.
He's losing out on those other guys not performing. It's
right.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's right. But he's also, think of this, Artie. He missed time 2 years ago, and he's missing time this year.
Right.
You know, your quarterback's got to answer the bell.
Yeah, you
just
can't
does.
be injury prone.
I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen with Cutler, this is just my gut feeling, that they're going to put the franchise tag on him, even though they don't want to.
Really?
And they're going to make somebody come and pay for him. And somebody will come and sign him, and they'll give up their one, and the Bears will have an extra one, and they'll play McCown next year.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
that's probably
a
the
gut
best.
feeling.
That's the smartest move from where you're sitting right now, I think. Yeah.
From where I'm
You
sitting
get a
right
pick?
now, that's probably what I would do, even though...
Let somebody else pay him, and you get a.
Even though I think the one thing about this is, I keep thinking in the back of my mind, okay, would I do that? Yeah, I probably would do that. But then what am I going to be thinking next Halloween when Josh McCown all of a sudden, the clock strikes midnight, and all of a sudden he's Josh McCown again.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
And
then
Cutler's
you're saying,
having a great year.
Cutler's having a great year for Tennessee or whoever.
Well, who are the teams you think would step up? Do you think off the top of your head? Do you know anybody would pay that kind of scratch for him and would help him get into the bowl?
I don't think anybody. I'd be surprised if somebody steps up and pays him $20 million. I just would, because as I said, he's missed too much time. I think somebody would step up and pay the first round pick, and then pay him, I don't know, 15, 16 million a year.
And the Bears wouldn't even do that.
Houston might. It depends.
That's a good guess.
It depends who's coaching where. Okay, and it depends now. You tell me who's going to coach the Tennessee Titans next year. Do they want to rely on Jake Locker, or do they want to trade their one or give up their one maybe for Cutler? Or Houston. I don't know what Houston's going to do with quarterback. What if they have the first pick in the draft and take Teddy Bridgewater? Then they don't need Jake Cutler.
But then you got a guy who's not proven to a lot of people. It's a question mark. Cutler's a proven NFL guy. What if it's a figure that the Bears are willing to match? Do you keep him then? What if they're willing to go to
I don't think they're
Trestman won't do it.
I don't think
he won't want to. And
Okay.
I don't think the owner will.
I don't think Phil Emery chafes at paying $16 million, which is going to be the franchise number. That's the 1-year contract that they'll have to sign him to a contract to, and then everybody can come up and match it. And then if they pay him that money, then the Bears have a choice: either match that or let him go for a first-round pick. And my gut feeling is they'd let him go and take the one.
His injury is the same one that Peyton Manning's been playing with.
The high ankle.
For the last 6 weeks, yeah.
Which you say as a player.
It's awful.
It's just the worst thing to deal with.
It is, yeah. It's frustrating, and it doesn't heal, but...
It says a lot about Peyton Manning.
In fact, you look at Peyton, you look at his brother.
He's been playing amazing with that.
They always play.
Yeah.
You never know that they're hurt. And Jay Cutler, it goes back to when he, sat out of that NFC
second half of the
game or
NFC
whatever that was.
championship.
Well, it goes back to what Peter just said. On top of being amazing, Manning answers the bell. He does
Yeah.
it. And he loves it. He lives for it.
Hey, is it true that I heard Urlacher was back in Josh McCown now?
That's what I read.
Yeah.
I read that.
That's surprising to me because he was always in
He's a big Jay guy.
Jay's corner, saying he was tough.
But he's not playing anymore. I'd listen to Brandon Marshall first.
Yeah.
He's throwing to him.
But
Sure.
you know what? Brandon Marshall's got to really walk the line.
No, I know.
He's got to be careful.
There are some issues with
Yeah.
what he said.
If he wants them to
I know.
throw the ball, that's what.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more with the great Peter King after this.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.